That's M.I.A. and Pull Up the People. It's off her debut record, which came out in 2005. And that song has everything that made M.I.A. an international superstar. It is so catchy. It just grabs you the first time you hear it. You can dance to it all night. It has a message. It has a political message. So much charisma, so much charm. All those qualities also make someone a great documentary subject. A few years ago, M.I.A. wanted to make a documentary about her career, but as you're about to hear, what ended up coming out on tape wasn't what she was expecting at all. To be honest with you, from talking to her, I'm still not entirely sure she's comfortable with the film that was made about her. It's called Matangi, M.I.A, M.I.A. It takes you through her career from when she was an aspiring filmmaker, when she was a kid, to being this gigantic superstar at the Super Bowl. It follows a lot of her activism too. M.I.A. is Sri Lankan Tamil. She's become a voice for the Tamil population. The film takes you into some of the controversies and run-ins with journalists that have happened along the way. If you're in Toronto, you can catch her showing of it at the Hot Docs Festival. She's holding a community screening for Toronto's Tamil population too. But before she got ready for those, M.I.A. stopped by the Q Studio right after she landed in the city, after she was held up for a little while. Take a listen to this. Hey, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. That's a big old script you got there.
It's gigantic. Well, I got a lot of. I guess I could have double-sided it. This documentary is really interesting because the story behind it is that you gave hundreds of hours of footage to your friend Stephen Loveridge, who ended up directing the film. What did you originally think he was going to do with all of it?
Well, I thought it was going to be like a live, a band kind of rock doc
like
thing.
A concert documentary.
Yeah. Because, well, that time I did the Q interview in 2010.
Yeah.
That entire time and that phase and that tour, I wanted that to be something because I just collected so much footage and so much happened around that album where, we were constantly getting in trouble and I was just getting getting into trouble because it was covering subjects that people weren't ready to talk about. And then it was, it was like art imitating life and life imitating art. And then everybody was sort of blacklisting me left, right and center. And I really wanted to explain something, because that was such a, that's when the media really went for me, and painted a picture they wanted of me. And I never really got to say my side of it properly. And really that's what I wanted to clear up is that era of music and the work that went into it. Because that really did inspire a lot of other stuff that came after, more than I think Arula and Kala phase, for me.
Yeah.
So... yeah.
How did you actually feel when you were in the theater and you saw it for the first time?
The first time, it was really my kid was there and he fell asleep. So then it was kind of a very confusing thing, to watch it through his eyes and then...
You were happy that he fell asleep?
I was kind of happy because as soon as he heard me swear the first time and light up my first cigarette in the film, he was just like, this is terrible. It was disgusting. Why are you making me watch this? So I think that was quite funny. But I was sort of in shock the second time I saw it. Then I found it way more emotional.
Man, it's
a lot.
It's so, I know this is an overused word, especially by people like
personal.
Me. It's so personal.
Yeah.
And it has to be hard because you didn't film this stuff with the intention of people seeing it.
That's what's weird, me and my friends still are going through that right now because sometimes I wake up and I go, oh my God, that's so personal. But at the same time, if you even look at my immigration issue, right?
Yeah.
Today, and I'm a pop star and I still have to go through that. And you kind of you have to think about how many people go through these kind of things that don't have money and can't. I can hire lawyers or I have enough money to sort that out and I still can't, Yeah. But if you think about all of these sort of intricate kind of confusing things that people have said about me, if that all adds up to how people perceive you, and then if it goes, adds up to your, what you are, your CV and how much you can move, and, then it's worth kind of talking about it, I think.
Well, there was stuff I hadn't seen before. I'm just going to play a clip from the doc just to take a listen to this.
I just wish I had someone to talk to right now. And I guess that's why I'm talking to the camera, because I just need to talk and get the out of the way. I'm so pissed off at people not really taking me seriously and not really caring about what's going on. And I don't even know if this is what I should be doing right now.
That's something from the new documentary exploring the life of my guest M.I.A. called Matangi, M.I.A, M.I.A. So it's in a bathroom.
I can't believe Steve put that in the film, but yeah, that's really weird to watch.
So what's happening there? You're on tour. You're documenting some of the Elastica tour, right?
Yeah, I mean, Peaches is from here, so I was on tour with Peaches and Elastica, and I was filming, and I was having more fun with Peaches than I was with Elastica at the time because of, band politics. But this is why I'm not in a band, and I became a solo artist, But these are things that taught me at the time because I found the band politics thing really, really hard.
Was that a benchmark moment? Do you see that as a moment that happened, and then you start taking music for yourself very seriously after that?
I didn't become a musician until 4 years after that scene you just played.
Right.
That was just the moment where I decided that I needed to think about more than just being cool. And so I felt that I was around cool a lot, and that suddenly, I had this awakening that I needed to go to Sri Lanka for the first time and confront it, because I'd kind of run away from it. And I think that was probably more about that rather than me becoming a musician.
There's a couple of really powerful is one word for it, but there's another moment in this film where you talk about being on the bus in Sri Lanka that Steve included. We have the clip right now. I feel weird playing it for you. I can play it, but I can only imagine what it was like to sit through yourself talking about that in the theater.
I was actually surprised that Steve even found that footage.
Do you mind if I play it?
Yeah, you can play it.
All right.
Today I got on the bus with my mum, and I completely got surrounded by soldiers. And every time when the bus was bumpy, they would fall on top of me and grope me. And so I started crying, and my mum was like, if you open your mouth, they will stop the bus, they will drag you into the jungle, and then they're going to kill us both in the jungle, and no one's even going to care. And I was looking around, and I'm like, who do I ask for help? Who is that person? And there's nobody else. So then you start looking out the window going, somewhere in that jungle, there's somebody who's fighting for me.
If you're just joining us, that's a M.I.A. moment from the film, Matangi, M.I.A, M.I.A, exploring the life and career of my guest. And so you were saying that you didn't know Steve even had that. Steve, the director of the film, even had that footage.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it's a real thing to have.
That was a very shocking thing when I was watching the film. I was like, where did he even find that?
Were you angry that it was in there?
No, because I think that's it's a real moment, and it happened to me, and I just happened to become a pop star 5 years later.
Yeah.
But that's a real reality for a lot of women in Sri Lanka. And I don't, I know the war's finished, but I don't know how safe Tamil women feel when they walk down the street, and in a very heavy militarized area, which right now in the north, it still is a very heavily militarized area. In fact, the number of soldiers in the north have doubled, So to me, it's a completely relevant and valid issue to talk about, more so than me being a frustrated artist saying that nobody's taking me seriously.
Well, you're doing a screening of the film at Hot Docs, the big cinema screening in Toronto, but you're also doing a screening in Scarborough too, right? Why is that important to you?
I think it's important to show the Tamil diaspora the film, just because, you know.
No, sorry, I don't.
Well, I think, first of all, we've only had like one documentary that's really represented our struggle, which is the Killing Fields and No Fire Zone by Cullum. And that has caused so much issues around the world because everybody who, you know, people who are brave enough to screen this film in parts of the world are put in prison. Like, that's how hardcore the film is treated, you know, and censored. But it's also an extremely painful, traumatic film to watch because it's very, to me, I find it too traumatic to watch even now. And I've seen it like 3 times. So I think it's important to show another side to the same struggle, you know. And I think, that's why it's important for the Tamil diaspora all over the world to watch it, really, because it sort of is like, it sits nicely with the Killing Fields, because this is a personal journey, whereas that one is a collective journey of, you know, it's a collective document of what happened during the last stages. But this is more about how that can affect the life for, you know,
Of someone they know, of someone they would know very well, of you.
Yes, but also it's not just a sad story either.
Yeah.
You know.
But
it's a personal story, and it's actually exactly the same story as all of them. It is about somebody from the diaspora, you know, somebody who left.
Well, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's a very human story. This documentary is, and I was a fan of yours, but I think I was too young to know that a couple of these things were happening when they were happening. Like, I didn't know about the New York Times thing at all, and I didn't know that there would be journalists and media people who would doubt your intentions, like who would doubt your politics and say that you were using your politics to get rich or is watching this on screen given you a different perspective on that time?
No.
No.
Not really, because, you know, you have like an updated, upgraded version of those kind of issues constantly. So it's not like, oh, back in that year I had that issue. It's like that issue never goes away.
But why do people do that? I mean, why is that? Where is that tension?
Because no one from Sri Lanka had ever come over and became a musician before, or not even an Indian, you know. And that's a lot of people in that part of the world. Like, you're talking a lot, billions, right? Yeah. So the fact that you've come over, I think people tend to sort of put you close to a story that's the majority story, which is, I could have been an Indian girl that came over, and, you know, my story could have been that, yes, my mum and dad were dentists and I got a good education and lived in the suburbs and I did this. Yeah. You know, and when the first one of them comes over and becomes a musician, the story is so much more complicated, and it's not that, you know, and it's not, that's the stereotype we were used to seeing in, you know, television or movies like Bend It Like Beckham, or, you know, like movies with Indian diaspora. And I think because you became the first musician and your story was just so specific, it was too difficult for people to digest, you know. So I'm very, like, you know, 50-50 about that. Part of me is like, I want to solve the problem on ignorance and educate people about these kind of, you know, the differences in these small communities or varied communities around the planet, and, you know, how, like, geopolitics works. And it's not necessarily this big whitewash thing.
But it continues on, though. I mean, you still see it now. Like, I know when when Kendrick Lamar even won the Pulitzer recently. You know, I read articles that were like, well, here he is rapping about his how he was growing up, and you know, how dare he? And here he is living in this mansion now, and still rapping about bad things that happened to him when he was a kid, and the situation, and the political situation, and the social situation that he found himself in growing up. Like I'm trying to figure out where that tension lies for people. Like why it can't be an and, you know.
I think even with like Kendrick, I'm gonna get the barrage of press now. I feel like talking about a Tamil resistance movement and then being a refugee and then becoming a pop star within a system, an industry that is predominantly black and white, where there's no other peers or colleagues or generations before you or after you that you could identify with, completely isolates you. Completely. You know? So then when you stand there and you're trying to share, because everyone's like, this is your lane, educate people about what is going on, it's very difficult because you've got nobody backing you and nobody sharing their experiences to go, oh yeah, we get it, it's like this, you know. I was very fortunate that a lot of like third world kids or Mexicans in LA, you know, got behind my work very quickly because they identified with the refugee-ness or the third worldness and, you know, this sort of stuff, because I had to dress it up with so much other levels of it because it was very difficult to just communicate like, oh yeah, the struggles of a, you know, refugee or the struggles of a Tamil from Sri Lanka or the struggles of a brown woman in the industry or the struggle, you know? It's like any of these issues was sort of first time being discussed from your perspective, and it's a very isolated perspective. Did you hear my tummy rumbling?
A little bit, but that's okay.
I haven't slept. I haven't eaten.
You must be exhausted. And they're gonna come in and take you out kicking and screaming now in a second if I don't let you go in the first place.
But anyway,
I just got a nod out there, which is I've never gotten to my first nod. I was gonna ask you two more quick questions, and then we're gonna go. So are you still making music at all? Just around the house?
Around the house, yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I make songs up like, you know, for my kid to pick up his socks and.
Yeah, but you know, are you making any M.I.A. music?
I don't know, kind of, sort of, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, has watching this doc control over it or not? Yeah. Has it rekindled any love of that first love of wanting to be a filmmaker?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I want to do all of it. Really, it makes me want to go, oh my God, yes, I want to make a better film than Steve. You know?
You want to take that, Steve.
But
what would it be about? If you were to make a documentary now?
I would make the film that I thought Steve was going to make.
You would make the M.I.A. film?
Yeah, I would make the really like fun tour, like live documentary, a little bit of fighting here and there. You know, it used to be like pretty intense.
I bet. Hey, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I really enjoyed talking to M.I.A. To be honest with you, on the way in, I was talking to some people, you know, just some people I knew, and they were saying, oh, you're interviewing M.I.A. Look out. Look out. She's a hard one. What an open, lovely, honest person. I don't know. It's weird how people can be painted, hey? M.I.A. is a rapper, songwriter, activist, the subject of a new documentary. If you're in Toronto, you can catch Matangi, M.I.A, M.I.A. at the Hot Docs Festival, which runs until May 6th. Here is the song that made her a superstar.